In the book, you just mentioned that in the entertainment industry, maybe people ask the wrong question they want to make people pay, but maybe the correct question is how to let people pay. So do you think that we can use that concept in other industries, such as publishing or books?
Totally. And the idea of letting people help and letting people pay and letting people decide what kind of art they want to support, and encouraging them to help, encouraging them to give money, encouraging them to buy the book, encouraging them to not leave the artist hanging. In a world where everything is shareable digitally is a much better approach than how do we lock up this content and force people to pay if they want it. And, I'm not against paywalls. I'm not against pricing an ebook at $10. I'm not against pricing a song at $1, and making it easy for people, because people will pay. People like paying. Most people know that the decent thing to do is pay the artist for their work. But, when you're talking about punishing people for stealing free digital content and making it impossible for people to get stuff, legally, easily, or punishing people for taking what's freely available, instead of paying some absurd online marked up price, I think that's just backwards. I think you have to assume that people do want art and assume that people are fundamentally good people and will be generous if asked. But you have to make it easy for them. You have to create an ecosystem where you remind people that art doesn't come from a factory. It comes from people, and those people need to make the art. And in order to make the art, they need to pay rent, and they need to eat, and they need paintbrushes, and they need a computer to write their novel on, and that money has to come from somewhere. So, I think in a capitalist society, we're so used to a supply and demand and a very, very strict way of doing things where you put a price tag on something. But it is possible to find a future where it is a little bit more about, rewarding the generous human nature, that when we see an artist that we love and they have their hat out, we're instantly there tossing them $1, saying, we want you to keep playing. We want you to keep going. If you keep your hat out, we'll keep feeding you money so that you can keep living. But that's a very, very different way of approaching the world than, say, the major label system or the big publishing system, where the artist is separate and, and locked away, and the systems are mysterious. I think it is changing, and I think it's going to change, and especially, we're used to cash money and ATMs and banks, and I mean, the internet is a giant mysterious thing, and the way people are going to transact with each other is going to change. And I think we best keep our minds open about how art works and sharing works and audience and artist interactions work, because we can't model on an old broken system. We have to model on, the system of reality, which is people will always want art. People will always want music. People will always want to help each other. And, in the vast realm of human history, the way we've been doing things for the past 50 years in the music industry, the past few thousand years with the rise of capitalism, that might change. It's okay. It's okay if that changes. It's okay if we take care of each other and help each other in a different way. And we are at a really interesting point in history where we're just starting to see the very beginning of a change where exchange may be easier. It may be simpler. It may be better. It may mean that more people have a chance to create and survive instead of just a lucky few. And I hope that's the case, especially for him. If he wants to be an artist, I hope it's easier.
So just one last question. Would you please share a little bit about what you are reading these days and what books?
Hold on. Neil Gaiman's going to take the baby. The great handoff. Here we go. Okay, you got me all to yourself now.
Mm-hmm. So, what kind of book you usually like to read, and what book you are reading now?
Oh, wow. Right now I'm reading books about babies, because that's what's interesting me right now. I'm reading a book called The Continuum Concept, which is about the psychology of and sociology around how we treat our babies and our children in the context of all of human history, and how we've changed the rules. Again, funny theme. We've changed the rules really recently, but how we have deep instincts about how to take care of our children, how we should listen to those. And another book called The Diary of a Baby, which is written by a great child psychologist who writes in poem. Oh my God! Don't kill the baby. He writes in poetry about the point of view of a baby in the early stages of development, and how they see the world and how they experience sound and light and emotions. And really beautiful book, given to me by the therapist of a friend of mine, who recommends it to all parents, all new parents, and it's fantastic.